Suryavarman II's temple, Angkor Wat, will soar above Cambodia larger than any medieval cathedral. And his engineers have less than a single lifetime in which to build it.
I'm a stonemason by trade, and I still haven't really worked out how they did it. That temple was built in probably about 35 years. Now, the only cathedral in England, for instance, that was built in such a short time is Salisbury. Most cathedrals took up to 200, 300 years, and they're considerably smaller than Angkor Wat.
Because the temple is sacred, it has to be built on pure soil. This meant that the dirt was to be excavated down several meters. It is backfilled with thick layers of sand and topped with stones. A final layer of sand is added to level the surface. But all this will be for naught unless they can secure the favor of the gods who will reside in the temple. So, before they start building, they select an auspicious day in the calendar. Priests call out to the gods for their blessings. They dip cords in colored powder. With these, they lay down mandalas. The mandala patterns represent heaven, symbolically binding the gods to the site and ensuring their blessings on the temple. At the core of the temple are these offerings. The white sapphire represents the moon, while the gold leaf signifies the sun. The two elements are buried. Over this location, Suryavarman's engineers will build a shaft leading through the burial chamber to the sacred central chamber above. And the temple mountain is built around the shaft. Created from terraces stacked on top of one another, like three giant sandboxes, the temple mountain is a massive project, with the second and third levels twice as high as the first. On the very top are 5 peaks, which represent sacred Mount Meru and its companion mountains. The structure will weigh thousands of tons. Suryavarman plans to build this complex in the heart of the city of Angkor. Life here is dominated by the monsoon cycle.
The rainfall in this area is highly seasonal.
Researcher Damien Evans contends that Cambodia's extreme climate shaped the way that Angkor was built.
For 6 months of the year, you have an abundance of water, too much water essentially. And for the other 6 months of the year during the dry season, you don't really have enough water. Also, rainfall varies quite sharply from year to year.
In simple terms, with 88% of the rain falling during the monsoon season, the Khmer must stabilize, store, and disperse water for use during the dry season. But the solution is anything but simple. In the 9th century, Khmer engineers began to create an extensive hydraulic system. By the 12th century, hundreds of interconnected canals, dikes, and reservoirs operate over 1,500 square kilometers. The network is like Venice on steroids. It supports an enormous city, covering an area as great as the city of Los Angeles and sustaining nearly 1 million people. It was by far the largest city in the world until the Industrial Revolution.
It's a virtual megalopolis.
Architectural conservationist John Stubbs believes that Angkor is more than just a gigantic city.
It's a city of cities, with Angkor Wat, the temple, being the centerpiece, like the Vatican is to Rome.
Even if they could build a solid foundation into the waterlogged soils, the monsoon cycle, which alternately causes floods and droughts above ground, wreaks havoc on anything constructed here. Underground, the spaces between the soil particles are filled with water as the water table surges up with the monsoon rains. This would uproot foundations and walls. During the drought, the water table drops again, drying the soil and causing it to lose its elasticity and sucking the walls and foundations downwards. This dramatic ebb and flow could rip apart even the strongest buildings. It will take a stroke of engineering brilliance to conquer the forces of nature at work. Instead of building the temple to withstand the impact of surging water, they harness the water to their advantage. Angkor Wat is like a ship floating on an ocean, of subterranean water. But the Khmer have a problem. There's only enough water to float on during the rainy season. How will they prevent this ship of stone from settling on the bottom throughout the other months? To keep the temple stable, they must create a reservoir nearby to keep the water table topped up all year round. The secret mechanism that protects the temple lies in one of its most visible features. The moat surrounding Angkor Wat is gigantic. The outside perimeter extends 5 kilometers, and it's 200 meters wide. Its distinctive shape is clearly evident from space. When complete, the moat will collect the runoff of the monsoon rains from the temple site, minimizing the upward surge of the water table. During the dry season, water absorbed by the soil from the moat reservoir keeps the water table constant. And the high water table forms the foundation upon which the temple is constructed to keep it from sinking into the mud.
In order to fulfill this sort of objective, the state was galvanized. You had to get people from all over the kingdom. We do in fact have one temple that was constructed some distance from here where we have all the records in stone of what they did. They brought in workers from every point of the compass.
Hundreds of thousands of people would have been involved, and the work would have been highly seasonal.
Most of the food production in this area happens between roughly the months of May and November or December. Throughout the rest of the year, you essentially have a large amount of people who aren't really engaged in food production and who are available for co-opting by the king, by the rulers, in order to come here and be involved in mega projects like this.
Like a modern government, Surya Varman uses major public works projects to keep his people busy in the off-season. Experts believe that laborers work to fulfill a feudal obligation to the king, although the workers may have also been motivated by the promise of a spiritual reward. With an estimated 5,000 disciplined workers for the moat alone, Surya Varman can drive the excavation forward at a fantastic pace. The moat workers first dredge 1.5 million cubic meters of silt and sand from the site, enough to fill almost 200,000 dump trucks. That's a lot of spare earth, and it has to go somewhere. But Surya Varman's engineers have already planned for this. The sand will be contained by walls to form each of the 3 great terraces. However, without concrete to bind or steel to reinforce them, how can simple stone walls contain this mountain of free-flowing sand? Behind the brilliantly carved surfaces is another secret of Angkor Wat. A stone called laterite.
Laterite is a magic stone. You cut it out like butter, you shape it, and then it hardens like a rock. It lasts forever.
In English, the word laterite comes from the Latin later, which means brick. And hidden within the flat land, the high temperatures and heavy rain of Cambodia make it the perfect place for laterite to form. Water filtering through the surface rock dissolves some elements away, producing a formation made up of iron, aluminum, and quartz. Surya Varman's laborers work quickly, cutting blocks to make a rough fit because laterite is easiest to work when damp. Other teams move them into place. And slowly, the sacred structure, defined by Surya Varman's priest architects, starts to take shape. But laterite is not beautiful. It's full of holes, and it cannot be carved into the delicate bas-reliefs worthy of a god-king. For the surface of Angkor Wat, Surya Varman needs a regal stone.